Mom, what do you think happened to the girl who was driving?
I heard that she had a brain injury.
Brain injury? What is that?
Wait, let me search. Traumatic brain injury has been called the silent epidemic of modern times. It is the leading cause of mortality and morbidity in children and young adults in both developing and developed nations worldwide.
Mom, I didn't understand anything.
Don't worry, darling. Let's ask your uncle to explain to us.
Brain injuries is a damage to the brain that occurs after birth by insults, such as falls, vehicle accidents, violence, or sport injuries.
Brain injuries. Brain injuries affect the motor system in more than one way.
What is the motor system?
Okay, I will give you a brief introduction about the motor system. The motor system consists of four main cerebral areas. The primary motor cortex, the premotor cortex, the basal ganglia, cerebellum, and the spinal cord. Each of them contribute to our body's motor function. Let's imagine the brain as a manager or boss who controls his employees. The brain is the organ in our bodies that is responsible of sending motor commands to the whole body to move.
But how does the brain send those commands to our muscles? It is far away from them.
That's a smart question.
First, it starts from the motor cortex where it plans the movements. Then, it goes to the basal ganglia, where it removes excessive movement that we don't really need, such as tremor. After that, it reaches cerebellum, which doesn't initiate movements, but rather coordinates movements. The spinal cord is the highway for communication between the body and the brain. When the spinal cord is injured, the exchange of information between brain injuries could be either open injuries or closed injuries. Open injuries. It happens when an object breaks the skull and enters to the brain. With open head injury, we can observe the symptoms, like in case of gun. Closed injuries. It happens when an external force, such as object, doesn't break the skull. With closed head injury, it's difficult to observe the symptoms. Concussion is an example of closed brain injuries. Brain injuries may affect the structure of the brain, like in case of a skull fracture, or when an object does penetrate the brain. Moreover, brain damage that results from injuries affect the way the nervous system functions by affecting the way the brain itself functions, affecting the brain's ability to communicate with the rest of the body, or by affecting the ability of muscles to respond to the brain's orders. The motor system has a significant relationship to communication. The motor system is responsible for controlling, initiating movement of different speech muscles. Therefore, any damage to the motor areas in the brain could result in different speech problems. I will give you some examples of disorders that affect the motor system and can result from brain injuries. One of these disorders is apraxia. It is characterized by inability to perform particular voluntary actions, despite normal muscle strength and tone. Apraxia may also affect. Another disorder is dysarthria, which is a motor speech disorder, characterized by poor respiration, phonation, or articulation, as a result of having abnormal weak speech muscles. Swallowing disorders or dysphagia can also result from brain injuries. Motor symptoms that result from brain injuries are paralysis, muscles weakness, hypertonia, like when a patient has spastic muscles rigidity, tremor, loss or lack of coordination, loss of balance. Communicative symptoms. Motor system disorders mainly affect motor speech functions, such as fluency, articulation, and voice. For a speech fluency, a patient's speech may appear slow or effortful. And for articulation, speech could be unintelligible, full of misarticulations and paraphagias, which are substitutions of sounds or words. For a patient's voice, he could have monopitch, monoloudness, hoarse and breathy voice, or he could lose his voice completely. Unfortunately, there is no cure for the motor disorders that result from brain injuries. Instead, medications, surgeries, and therapy rehabilitations are provided to minimize any additional damage to the brain tissues.
So, because car accidents are one of the most common causes of brain injuries,
Did you hear what your uncle said?
Yes, Mom. We must give importance to safety driving precautions, such as avoid using your phone while driving, have a driving license, have a safe speed limit, always fasten your seat belt, pay attention to your surroundings at all times.